better this week.
Welcome to View from the Top of the Goalpost, Week 2. I am Diesel, joining you from Diesel's Dapper Dungeon of Delight, and I kind of updated Lambeau Field here a little bit. It's a different background because I lost my old background, and this one's a little better. It actually has
Nicer.
like the hash marks and the numbers on the field, so I like it. Anyways, joined by my guest host, or no, you're not guest host, my permanent co-host, as always. Doesn't have a clever little nickname in his little bio there, but Chad, welcome to the show once again.
Yeah, no, after the atrocity that was last week, there's no cute nicknames. There's no nothing, all right? It's back to basics. It is back to the grind, and yeah, I'm here, and I'm not happy, but I'm here.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, Chad did not have a very good week last week, and I had above average 11-5, wasn't too bad, but Chad really stunk it up with a 6-10. All our head-to-head matchups all went my way, and I don't think that's ever happened before. Even when it's been like four, I think so. Like maybe like three or two we've gone like solidly one way, but I don't think we've had that many where they've all gone one person's way. But hey, it's week one. There's still 17 weeks left. You can catch up. I had a pretty large deficit in the middle of last season, came back and beat you by a ton of games. So there's still a lot of time left. So just maybe stop picking Atlanta.
You're out of your mind if you think that's gonna happen.
Well, okay. Well, how did you do with your locks last week?
Also not grand, Diesel, not grand. For bonus locks, we went 0 for 4, getting every single primetime lock wrong. That's not true. We pushed on the first Thursday night game over under, as it was a push on that. But then we did get Green Bay plus 2.5 wrong. We got the Dallas Cleveland under wrong because Dallas basically covered that over by themselves. And then we also got the New York Jets plus 3.5 wrong because they didn't show up. The Raptor lock of the week did not turn out so well because Atlanta absolutely shit the bed against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But fun fact, we got both the bronze and the silver lock right, with the Houston and Indy over hitting over 49 and the LA Chargers smoking the Las Vegas Raiders by way more than -3. Unfortunately, the golden lock of the week did not come through because overtime happened, and we have to give the mother effer his flowers.
Big round of applause, people.
Right here, because he got it exactly right as to what happened in the game. The Detroit Lions took the game to overtime, won the coin toss, and scored on the first possession, not letting the LA Rams cover or win the game with plus 3.5. So we got the golden lock wrong, which means overall we went 2-6 on locks for the week. So, hey guys, this was my preseason. Week 1 was my preseason. We'll do better this week.
Can you just remind the people who you're giving the flowers to again?
I'm giving the flowers to you, Diesel. Diesel deserves his flowers. This is one of the best calls that's ever been made on this show ever. I can't deny it. It's very impressive.
I nailed it. And I was just looking for a reason to pick the Lions over the Rams because you were picking the Rams, and I nailed it. Overtime. Hey, no ties, though. I got that one wrong, so I'm all good with that. But, ready to do some picks?
Oh, as ready as I'll ever be, Diesel.
All right, let's get into this thing. Thursday Night Football at 7:20 on Amazon Prime. We have the Dolphins at home, or it's Buffalo. Yeah,
it's in Miami.
I knew I did it backwards. We have the Buffalo Bills traveling to the Miami Dolphins. Both teams are 1-0. Miami is favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 48.5. And Miami also has the fan differential at 64%. Let you go first. Who do you got in this Thursday night matchup?
Well, once again, folks, even though Buffalo managed to win that game against the Arizona Cardinals, they probably shouldn't have, because Kyler Murray missed a wide open Marvin Harrison with less than 2 minutes on the clock for a wide open touchdown. But we're not talking about the Cardinals. We're talking about the Bills and the Dolphins right now. You know who's not going to let their foot off of the throat if they get up 17-0 against them? The Miami Dolphins. Give me the Miami Dolphins in this game. It's in Miami. It's going to be hot. I'm sorry. I know that it worked for 1 week. This wide receiver by committee that the Buffalo Bills have, and Josh Allen being the entire offense, and legitimately the entire offense. But folks, it's a house of cards. It will crumble eventually. And yeah, it's going to look great at times. But in Miami, a division game with the Dolphins, who are coming for blood. Once again, the Bills were the proverbial thorn in their paw last year. They want to win this game real bad. I think the Dolphins easily win this game. And with the bonus Thursday night lock of the week, eat those 2.5 points with the Dolphins, because they're going to win this game by more than a field goal for sure, without question. So yes, I have the Dolphins.
Yes, you might as well call them the Buffalo Josh Allens, because without him, they wouldn't have a team. They are like Aaron Rodgers just a few years ago for the Packers, when it was him and a bunch of scrubs and Devontae Adams. At least he had Devontae Adams. But yeah, Josh Allen did everything. He went 18 for 23 for 232 with 2 passing touchdowns. Also went 9 for 39 rushing with 2 rushing touchdowns. It's Josh Allen did everything. But that being said, I do agree with you that the defense of Miami is way better, and if they get a lead that big, I don't think it's possible for Josh Allen to bring him back this time. So that being said, I am also taking Miami. But remember my pick at the beginning of the year about Tua throwing for 5,000 pass yards?
Yes.
Well, I know it's only week 1, but it's looking good so far. He had the most passing yards in all of the NFL last week with 338. And I did the math. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's like 279 you need to average to get to 5,000 yards. So he's already well on his way to averaging over 5,000 yards this year. So, I mean, with Tyreek Hill and longest touchdown reception of his career after what happened
Fuck the police.
game, which is wild, but we're not one of those true crime podcasts, so we're not going to get into that mess. But wild, week 1, what are the odds that happens like week 1? You're tuning in
right outside the stadium. You can legitimately see the stadium parking sign in the background.
You're tuning in to the early pregame shows and like, Tyreek Hill got arrested this morning on the way to the game. It's like, then you see the video and but he had one of the best games of his life after that, and he just keeps on getting better and better and better. The Dolphins are going to win this game easily, especially since they're at home. I don't know when they play in Buffalo, but I think Buffalo might be able to take the game later this year, just because Miami usually doesn't do very good in the cold. But that's for later this year. Right now, I got Miami in this game. Well, moving on to Sunday, we got a big slate of noon games on Sunday. Week 2 is one of the best weeks of the year, because you got every team playing, and most games are on Sunday. So we have 13
And once
games
again, we
Sunday,
only have a single Monday Night Football game this week. So there's only the normal primetime game. So basically, everyone is in this noon slate right here. It's wild, because I think there's only, 3, 4 afternoon games?
There is only 3.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew it was very low this week. So yeah, it's wild. This noon slate is huge.
9 noon games. We're gonna have
Red zone, baby.
Octobox +1. I don't even know what 9
A
is.
nano box.
Nano box. There you go. Learn something new every day. Anyways, first game at noon is the 1-0 New Orleans Saints traveling to the 1-0 Dallas Cowboys. And this should be an interesting matchup. Dallas is favored by, no, actually, New Orleans is favored by 6.5, which I was very surprised to see.
No. You have it backwards again.
I must have. Okay. Dallas is favored by 6.5.
Yeah.
There's a highlighting error. 45.5 point over under. Fan differential is 91% Dallas. Yeah, I would highlighting error. I apologize. Week 2, we're still not in mid-season format.
This is our preseason, baby.
But this game is interesting because of what happened in both games last week. New Orleans went out there and they were playing a team that's not that good, but they still looked amazing. They scored 47 points. Derek Carr looked like Derek Carr from 2018. He threw for Saints. Okay, 19 for 23 for only 200 yards, but 3 touchdowns. And he wasn't
that freaking bomb to what's his name?
Shaheed.
Yeah, Diesel's favorite name to say right now in the NFL.
It's the best name in the NFL. I like names that rhyme, and that does it for me. He went 3 for 73 with a touchdown. Then Kamara went 15 for 83 yards rushing with a touchdown. They looked really good, but they were playing Carolina. But then Dallas, on the other hand, who was playing good Browns defense, they showed up. And the defense tried, kind of, but they were not successful. The offense, I'm trying to find the stats here. Sorry. The offense, I didn't watch this game very much because it's kind of boring because it was pretty much one-sided. Basically, I got Dallas in this game.
There you go.
I think that New Orleans isn't going to look as good, especially since it's in Dallas. I feel that, New Orleans isn't a good team. They're not a great team. They could be good. They could be on the cusp of a wild card, maybe sneak in at the end of the year. They got some talent, that's for sure. But Dallas looked like they're ready to play, even with not having a running back. And now that they got CeeDee Lamb paid and they got Dak paid, their offense is ready to go. I got Dallas.
Yes, I also agree. I have Dallas, and this is the bronze lock of the week. Eat those 6 points for Dallas. Diesel, do you want to know a fun fact?
I do.
So, sans the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers, do you know the last time the Dallas Cowboys lost in Jerry World?
Don't know.
It was the season opener of the 2022 season. The Dallas Cowboys in regular season action since that game are 16-0 in Jerry World. And I didn't write down the exact number of what the winning percent or by the point percentage is, but I know that it's by a +10 margin of victory. This Dallas Cowboys team, with this makeup that they have, and they've had it now for a couple years, obviously, is nasty at home. They're not the greatest on the road. That's where they lose all of their games and have for the past few years. But at home, Dallas is nothing to F with. And once again, I know that New Orleans crushed the Carolina Panthers. And folks, I'm sorry. That might have been one of the worst calls I ever made on this podcast by picking Carolina last week. But also know that win of New Orleans was fool's gold. And I think that New Orleans gets absolutely housed this week by the Dallas Cowboys. So, bronze lock of the week. Eat those points. Give me the Dallas Cowboys.
Next game on Sunday at noon, we have the 1-0 Indianapolis Colts traveling to the 0-1 Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Colts are favored by 3 with a 40.5 point over-under, and the fan distribution has the Colts at 60%. And I'll let you go first on this one.
You know, before the season started, once again, I'll reference it.
Ghosts?
No, some of my pops just fell. I don't know why, but they did. But I'll handle that in a moment. Fun fact, before the season started, I picked every game. And this game, I struggled with so very mightily, even with it being a week 2 game. This game's wild. Now, unfortunately, one of the major X factors in this game was taken out by injury. And while he hasn't technically been ruled out yet by the Packers at time of recording, Jordan Love is not going to play in this game. He's not. And because of that, I'm all over Indy in this game. I think that the Green Bay defense will be better this year, but I don't think it's there yet. I think it's going to be a work in progress. I think that Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman, I think this offense, I don't think they just decimate them or anything like that, but I think there's just too much on this offense for this defense to hold it together. And with Malik Willis, who, I'm sorry, folks, I watched him play those few games at Tennessee that he started. I know when he came out of Liberty, he was touted as maybe the best talent in the draft that year, but I'm scared for Malik Willis. I think that the Packers must really be confident in the fact that this Jordan Love injury is going to be a short one, because to roll with him, I think, is basically saying, yeah, we're all right losing a few games. Because yes, give me Indy in this game. And with the silver lock of the week, once again, eat those 3 points. I know it's on the road. I know Lambeau's a tough place to play. And I know that the Colts just lost to Houston. But I think that in a lot of ways, especially without Jordan Love, the Houston team that they just lost to is a lot better in a lot of ways than the Green Bay Packers team that they will be playing here. Now, if this game was much later in the year, could be different. But I think this Green Bay defense needs a little more cooking time. And without Jordan Love, I just don't see him hanging with Richardson and this offense. So, Diesel, tell me why I'm wrong.
I'm making a bold prediction, and I'm telling you that Jordan Love will play next week. He's not playing this week. I think that he's further along than a lot of people would be expecting right now. I think they're kind of keeping everybody in the dark because it wasn't as bad as everyone initially thought it was going to be. It looked a lot worse than what it was with his kneecap basically moving. It looked gruesome. Yeah, I do think he will be back next week. I just have this feeling that they know more than we know and they're not telling us. And I don't think he's hurt as bad as I think it is. But that being said, I don't think you want to count the Packers out in this game. I don't think it's going to be an easy victory for Indianapolis because it's not just Jordan Love's team. It's not like the Buffalo Josh Allen's. There's talent on this team. It's not like when Aaron Rodgers went down in 2017 and they just lost out for the rest of the year because they didn't have anybody else. They had Devontae Adams and they had Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones was a rookie. So they kind of collapsed. There is so much talent on this team. They have Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, they have Christian Watson scored a touchdown, 2 great tight ends in Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, decent offensive line. If Willis can make the smart plays. I'm not asking him to go out there and play hero ball. Just make smart decisions. Feed it. I almost said Aaron Jones. Oh man, that sucks. I miss him already. Feed Josh Jacobs, and the defense just plays a solid game and keeps them in it. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the game, the Packers could win it. I'm not picking the Packers this week because of all the unknowns. I think that Indy is good. I really like the way that Richardson looked last week. He went 9 for 19 with 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. One was just ridiculously sick, where it looked like the pocket just collapsed in him, and all of a sudden he just kind of flicks the ball up there and like throws it 65 yards down the field.
How did he do that? How did he do that?
Jonathan Taylor will probably pick up a little more yards. I think he had kind of a disappointing game. He went 16 for 48. He did get a touchdown, but I think they could use more from him. I don't want to sleep on this Packers defense. I think the field conditions in Brazil kind of hindered them. It hindered the Eagles too. I'm not complaining. Both teams had to play on it, and I'm definitely not saying that the injury or the field caused Jordan Love's injury, because that isn't the case. Maybe in the back of his mind he was worried about his footing, but I'm not saying that the field had anything to do with it. But I do feel like with more solid footing under the Packers' feet, their defense is going to perform a lot better. I was really excited that Xavier McKinney, right off the bat, got that interception. Got a pick from Jair Alexander. Too bad he can't play like that every single play, because there was a lot of misses from him. But then again, it could have been the field. I'm not going to – this game's kind of a wash. I told my brother, like, while I was watching the game, right before the Eagles kicked that field goal at the end before the Packers got the ball back, I already chalked this down as a loss, and I was already okay with it because the Eagles are a good team. It's not losing. It's not a bad loss. They were competitive. They didn't like get stomped. I feel like down the road, if they had to play the Eagles again, they could beat the Eagles. So I wasn't upset with the loss. I was upset with the Jordan Love injury, and I'm feel better about it now because of what we know. But at the time, I really wish the Eagles would have just scored a touchdown, put the game to bed. We wouldn't have to worry about it. Jordan Love would be playing this week, but that didn't happen. Jordan Love had a great game too, by the way, besides the fact of him getting injured. And Jaden Reed is low-key best receiver in the league. Besides Tariq Hill and Justin Jefferson, like, seriously, that guy's special. He's fast. He can catch. I'm excited to watch him play. And that's another reason I don't want to count the Packers out, because they have so much talent. I'm going with Indy, though. But go Pack, go.
Fair.
Next game, we have at noon, the 1-0 San Francisco 49ers traveling to the 1-0 Minnesota Vikings. San Francisco is favored by 6 with a 45-point over-under, and the fan differential, or I forget what it's called already, is 94% San Francisco. And yeah, Minnesota isn't winning this game. Like, they're 1-0, and they have some confidence after starting 1-0, but they also
played the Giants.
And Daniel Jones, who is literally the worst quarterback in the league. Like, you can't be a quarterback and play at MetLife Stadium. Those things just don't go together. So it's I wonder why they have two teams playing in that stadium. Like, and then you look at San Francisco, they didn't even have Christian McCaffrey, and they just ran all over the Jets. Jets didn't have an answer for them on either side of the ball. This team is so good, and Minnesota isn't. And Sam Darnold, I feel bad about saying that because they looked pretty good. Sam Darnold looked really good. Aaron Jones got a tutty. Even when I saw that, I was cheering for him because I still love the guy. Even in Vikings colors, I still root for the dude. But there's no match for San Francisco, even at home. Like, I think San Francisco is going to be a tough team to beat, just like last year. I would be surprised to see them go on a 3-game losing streak like last year. So if they lose, it's not going to be this week. Minnesota is going to be 1-1. I got San Francisco.
Yep. No, everything you said is right. I am all in on San Francisco in this game. This is also a revenge game from last year when Minnesota got a huge upset victory over San Francisco that kind of quasi saved the San Francisco or the Minnesota season for a second. And I think it was right before Kirk Cousins got injured.
Yep, it was, I think, the week before.
I think it was week 4, yeah. But saved their season. But yeah, so I think San Fran is going to come in here, guns a-blazing. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play again. I think that is the consensus that's already been spread about. But I don't think
let's
it matters.
wait to hear what Jay Glazer has to say first.
Yeah, Jay Glazer. He was so on top of it this last week. So
I mean, he wasn't the only one, but he's the one I got the information from. So yeah, screw him. Because on Sunday, like, he was confident. He said like he was in, like, and when they say that you're in a day beforehand, like, why would you be like, oh, okay, it just, and then like hour or two before Monday Night Football, and the only reason I gripe is because I have one of my teams, and somehow I won by 0.03, which I don't know how that happened, but there's no way that I could replace him because it was Monday night. There's nobody to pick up. I'm not going to drop him, so he has to stay in my lineup. And just what had to happen. And that happened to a lot of people, but like, Jay Glazer, you're on my shit list right now.
Yeah, I got San Francisco. Minnesota.
Sorry for the tangent.
Okay. I feel like a lot of people needed that tangent.
Next at noon, the 0-1 Cleveland Browns traveling to the 0-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are favored by 3.5 with a 41.5 over/under, and the 69% are going to Jacksonville, and that's so
nice.
Nice
number. Yeah, Cleveland sucked last week. I can't believe that Deshaun Watson threw 45 passes. He went 24 for 45. Couldn't barely hit over 50%. 2 interceptions. He was sacked 6 times. Only 169 yards passing. Yeah, it was, like I said, I had Red Zone on, but like every time they popped this game up, it was just like I haven't paid attention. The late games on Sunday were not as good as the early games, and yeah, it was kind of just meh. I mean, we did get robbed of the tying of the. It was this game. The tying of the longest field goal ever because Mike McCarthy is a moron. 2 timeouts and 4 seconds left on the clock so let's save our 2 timeouts instead of using one to prevent delay a game. That's how we do things in Dallas. That's what Mike McCarthy said.
Management, baby.
How did Jacksonville do? Not very. They did okay for a little bit.
So they were leading the game for most of it, or for at least the first half. It almost felt like, and then the Dolphins turned it on, and then it never. I think the Dolphins scored all of their points in a row. I don't think the Jacksonville scored after their first 17.
Yeah, they lost 20-17 to the Dolphins. Lawrence did okay. He went 12 for 21 with only 162. Had a touchdown. That ETN fumble going into the end zone, that's what cost them. They would have won the game.
Yeah.
Like, they would have won the game if
sloppy
he
football.
Just held onto the ball. But there was a lot of sloppy football on Sunday, and I think that's because people don't play in the preseason. Once you get to the fourth quarter, everyone's exhausted. It's like, what's the point of even having a preseason if you're not going to play? So I'm going to propose that in between the preseason and the regular season, we have a little mini season so all the starters can get some playing time. So by the time we get to the season, they're all ready to go and we get some good football right away. But that being said, I got Jacksonville in this game because I do not believe in Deshaun Jackson. I regret drafting Amari Cooper in fantasy now because, Deshaun Jackson's a piece of crap. And, I still have hope for Jacksonville to win this division and Trevor Lawrence to get his head out of his ass. I mean, he made some good throws on Sunday, but he didn't do enough to win. So I got Jacksonville this week because they're playing Cleveland.
Yeah. With the new allegation and lawsuit that is out against Mr. Watson.
How crazy is that, too?
Yeah. maybe Tannehill will find himself as the Cleveland Browns quarterback, because who knows if that commissioner exempt list is going to be enough to keep with Deshaun Watson even playing the game. Garbage player. He is the game passing by. We talked about it last week. We talked about it in our preseason predictions. He's just not good at football anymore. And I truly don't understand how he fell from grace so quickly and so fast. It doesn't make any sense. It's wild. But yes, give me Jacksonville in this game. I don't believe in them either, but I think that they're a better team than Cleveland, and it's in Jacksonville. So yes, I will go with the Jaguars and just Deshaun Watson. Just fuck off, man. Just get the heck out of here, man. We're done. Like, at this point, like, just, we don't need you in the NFL anymore. Let's be just done with it.
Or to quote you, jog on.
Jog on.
Next game at noon on Sunday. This is probably the game I'm looking forward to the most. We have the 1-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the 1-0 Detroit Lions. The Lions are favored by 7, which I think is a little too much in my opinion. Over-under is 51.5, which I like that, but the fan differential has the Lions at 90%. And with that reaction, I kind of have a feeling where you're going with this one. So go right at it.
Okay, well, even if I wasn't going where I was going with this pick, 90% is still a ludicrous number. You all saw what freaking Baker baked last week, right? Like 4 touchdowns, a basically perfect passer rating. You couldn't miss. Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield last week absolutely lit up the Commanders. And I'm not saying the Commanders are like, world beaters or anything, but Dan Quinn is their coach. So defense is something that they are very much focused on, and they couldn't stop Baker. And Mike Evans, I called for the end of Mike Evans. I said, I was like, he can't do it again. You know what, folks? I'm wrong. I'm just very wrong. And I guess week 2 is about me accepting my shortcomings from my preseason predictions. Mike Evans is just the man, all right? There's a few short things in this world that can be assured of. Taxes, death, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards of receiving every single year. And he started with 2 touchdowns and just a banger of a game. Give me Tampa Bay in this game. This is another revenge game. Tampa could not beat Detroit last year. And Baker was on a hot streak, and they, in the playoffs, played a shit game. They got housed last year in Detroit. It wasn't close. But you know what? Tampa is not a team that I think, because I'm very high in another team who was terrible last week, but we'll get to them later. Tampa's a spoiler. No one clearly believes in Tampa Bay this week. And you know when Baker Mayfield is at his best? When no one believes in the cockroach. And you know what? Baker gonna bake again. So with the golden lock of the week, folks, give me Tampa Bay +7. Because you know what? Even if you're not going to ride the money line, you don't have to. +7 points with a team that had the best statistical quarterback in week 1 going against the Lions, who, yeah, their defense looks solid, but you're telling me that you think that if that Rams defense or that offensive line wasn't just complete shambles, the Rams wouldn't have probably won that game? Come on. If Puka Nacua doesn't go down, like if they have a full offense against that Lions defense, you don't think the Rams might have won that game? Do you know who does have a full offense that is all healthy right now with a multitude of weapons? Oh, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, I'm sorry. You have Chris Godwin, who already had, I think, 8 receptions for almost 100 yards. You have Mike Evans, who's just a god among football, apparently. And then you have their freaking running back, who also had a great game. Like, this is a scary game. I just don't understand the fan dispersion for being 90% on Detroit. I respect that Detroit is a good team, but it should be like at most 75. Like it should be like 75-25.
Okay. Baker Mayfield last week went 24 for 30 for 289 yards with 4 touchdowns with a quarterback rating of 146.4. And like, I'm proud of those stats because you know me, I've never given up on Baker. I've followed him from team to team, and I've told everybody that he's a good quarterback, but nobody believes in him. The Browns gave up on him to get Deshaun Watson, and they probably hate themselves for that move. The Panthers didn't know what they had and released him halfway through the first season of having him. I mean, it makes sense why he didn't stick with the Rams because he's not a backup quarterback, and the Buccaneers were a perfect place for him to land because they have all this talent at wide receiver. Like you said, Chris Godwin went had 8 targets with 8 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown. Rachaad White had 6 receptions for 75 yards. Mike Evans had 5 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. McMillan had 3 receptions. He's spreading the ball around. It's not just going to one guy. There's so much talent. And they have 2 really good running backs because the rookie Irving went 9 for 62 with a 31-yard run too. Like, yeah, I really like Tampa Bay. There's one stat that you did not like say, and I'm surprised you didn't say it because it's one of your favorite ones. Teams that play the week after overtime rarely win. And that happened in Detroit last week. And I know they're playing in Detroit, but I think the Tampa Bay team is sneaky good. And at the end of the year, when they could be 2-3 seed in the NFC, and everyone's gonna be like, where did they come from? And we're gonna be like, well, listen back to the beginning of the season when we were talking about how great Baker Mayfield is and how great Tampa Bay is going to be. So I do have Tampa Bay winning this game because of the fact that I don't think that they're better, but I think that they have just as much talent as Detroit has on both sides of the ball. 'Cause I didn't even talk about their defense and who's on that. Like, I like Tampa Bay this year. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that 7 points is the line for Detroit. It's after what we just saw Baker do, like, yeah, that's nuts. Moving on to the next game. Next game we have at noon. This one's going to be an easy one to call. We have the 1-0 Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the 0-1 Carolina Panthers. 6.5 favorites are the Chargers, which is low. 38.5 points over under, and 97% is the fan differential for the Chargers. I mean, this one's easy. Chargers, like, what can Carolina do? Nothing. Bryce Young, they ruined him. Like, if he had any talent coming into the league, they ruined him, like, by putting him on this team. And he's going to go down as a bust. The trade to the Bears is going to go down as one of the worst trades of all time, especially if Caleb Williams is good.
And especially, like, DJ Moore is not bad. Like, DJ Moore is still great, and you had to give up DJ Moore. So,
and I told you, and you said it too. I'm not saying I just told you, but I told people that are listening that J.K. Dobbins is not done yet. I said that I still feel like he has stuff in the tank, even with those season-long injuries 2 years in a row. There's something about that guy. Like, he reminds me a little of the muscle hamster. What was his real name?
Oh, from Tampa Bay. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of what his name was.
I can't think of him. Like, there's something about them that they're fast, but they're also, like, beefy, and, like, you don't want to get run over by them because they will run you over, but they also can run right by you. So I really like J.K. Dobbins. I don't have anything good to say about Carolina. I don't see them winning a game this year.
Yeah. Because, so folks, as I said last week, I did really bad in my predictions and also in my gambling locks. So this week I took a step back and I retooled and I decided to add some other locks. And they're not just bonus locks anymore. Now they all have a point. This is the first of my brand new locks. And this is the Suck It Carolina lock. Because, yes, give me the LA Chargers minus 100 points. I don't care. Like, I am betting against Carolina every game the rest of the year. I'll take alternate lines. Like, I might take the freaking Chargers minus 14 in this game because what are the Panthers going to do? Legitimately, what does this team have? Who is there that legitimately at this point I am trying to find a bright spot to talk about for the Carolina Panthers. I'm doing my damnedest. I want to like the Carolina Panthers. I want them to be a competitive team. But this team, like, this is one of the situations where I still say that they would probably win. But at the end of the year, if the number one college football team took on this Carolina Panthers squad, man, I honestly, I would still think the Panthers would be favored, but it would be one hell of a game. Like, I don't think they would be able to do a lot against the number one rated college team. And I think basically everyone else in the NFL would dominate every college team. So, yeah, with the Suck It Carolina, the first one of the year, lock of the week, give me the LA Chargers minus 100. I don't care.
Next game, Sunday at noon, we have the 0-1 New York Giants traveling to the 0-1 Washington Commanders. Washington is favored by 1.5 with an over-under of 44, which that might be a little high. And the fan differential is 88% in Washington's favor. Who do you got in this game and why?
Yep. Another situation where I'm just so far down on one team that I don't care who they play. I am all in on the Washington Commies in this game. You know what, folks? The Giants, I don't know how you screw a pooch so as bad as the Giants have. How you pay Daniel Jones and not Saquon Barkley, how you have let every one of your great position players go away, and how, for some ridiculous reason that I will never understand, you decided to trade for Brian Burns, which, yeah, he's a great player, but you have nothing else at all. And you just gave away capital of trying to rebuild your terrible, terrible, terrible squad for later. This is mismanagement at its absolute finest. This is Carolina and the Giants race to the bottom. Who gets the number one draft pick next year is the real question, because the only question for them this whole year is, what game do you win, and can you manage to lose more games than that other team? Give me the Commies. I like Jaden Daniels. He looked good. He ran the ball a whole bunch. But please, Jaden Daniels, throw the fucking rock a few more times and throw it to scary Terry McLaurin, or else I'm going to lose my damn mind. All right. Scary Terry is one of the best receivers in the NFL who gets no love because he doesn't ever have a damn quarterback to throw in the ball. And the only time he did was when Tay-Tay was there. And then the fucking Commanders sent Tay-Tay away. And just please, Terry deserves better. Terry does a lot of hard work. Just throw Terry the ball.
So for Jaden Daniels' first game in the NFL, I thought he did pretty well. Went 17 for 24 with 184 yards passing. No touchdowns, but no picks. He rushed for 16 attempts for 88 yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. But like you said, yeah, he needs to throw the ball more because their leading receiver was Austin Eckler with 4 catches for 52 yards. Brian Robinson was second, and then Zach Ertz was third. Luke McCaffrey, finally a receiver, was fourth on the list. I mean, he had 1 less catch than All right, one more catch than McLaurin, but only one more yard as well. At 18 yards, McLaurin went 2 for 17. It is, yeah, he needs to throw the ball a lot more because you got McLaurin. Like, I like Luke McCaffrey. I think that he could be a sleeper for a rookie. I mean, he's Christian McCaffrey's brother, so like hopefully he has some kind of talent. Maybe they're going to be the Watts, but on offense.
Something in those genes.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that they brought Austin Eckler in not to run the ball, so it makes sense. 4 for 52. That's a good game for Eckler, but he should not be your leading receiver. But that being said, yeah, the Giants are just so bad. Daniel Jones is so bad. I know everyone's seen the stat this week, how he's thrown more picks than touchdowns since signing that big contract before last season, which is just, and it's not even like he's thrown 2 touchdowns. So that makes it even worse. Like, Danny Dimes is the worst quarterback in the NFL. It makes me like wonder who's better between him and can't even think of his name because he was so bad I just erased him from memory. The guy that played for the Jets and now is backup for the Broncos. Zach, what's his last name?
See, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. There you go. Yeah. It's really a competition on what quarterback is worse. And that's why I said, if you play quarterback at MetLife Stadium, those things don't really match up. You suck. Like, so sorry, Charlie.
Sorry,
I got
Charlie.
Washington. Next game at noon, we have the 0-1 New York Jets traveling to the 0-1 Tennessee Titans. The Jets are favored by 3.5 with a 40.5 point over under, and the Jets have the fan differential at 88%. And yeah, the Jets are going to win because Titans don't know how to play football. They were up by so much against the Bears on Sunday, and then they literally gave them the game. The Bears offense did nothing to help the Bears win that game. It was all the defense and the special teams. The Bears had a punt return. There was a pick six and I believe a fumble return for a touchdown. It was just, yeah.
It was a punt return for a touchdown.
Oh, I mentioned that too, but it
was a block punt then as well.
Okay. I knew there was some. I knew it was 3 touchdowns and not by the Bears offense. We're not talking about the Bears right now. We're talking about how bad Tennessee is. Like, I mean, their defense played good because I think the Bears offense is that bad, but that offense is Will Levis. What are you doing, man? What was that
underhanded throw?
He just kind of underhanded it and go, here you go, buddy. Pick 6 is like, I've never seen anything like it. I've seen Brett Favre do some stupid things in his day, but I've never seen
Josh Allen do some stupid things as well.
Yeah,
but yeah,
just underhand it and just kind of like loft it up. Here you go, buddy. Tennessee's not very good. The Jets didn't look very good, but I think that they also were playing San Francisco. I think that it was in San Francisco. I think that might have had something to do with it. Their defense was falling apart all night. They couldn't keep anybody on the field. Apparently Aaron Rodgers is the only one that did anything, if you ask him. I know he didn't really say that, but I've seen so many memes that saying like that there's 21 other players to blame out there, not him, and stuff like that.
I don't have enough fingers. I would point a finger, but I only have 10.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He has some zip on the ball still, and I think with him not throwing the ball for an entire year, I think that probably helped his arm. But he had some rust. He definitely had some rust. They need another wide receiver because everybody's just covering Wilson, and Lazard is a 50-50 guy. He will catch it 50% of the time and he'll drop it 50% of the time. He was also the leading receiver, which is never good when Lazard is the leading receiver. I definitely got the Jets in this game though, because the Titans are just that bad. And yeah, I think the Jets are clearly better team on both sides of the ball. I mean, yeah, I would say both sides of the ball. Titans have a good defense, but overall, the Jets have more talent on defense. And if they ever would get Hassan Reddick to sign a deal, oh man, that defensive front would be super nasty. But I got the Jets this week.
We record this podcast clearly on Wednesdays, so at time of recording, Hassan Reddick has not signed a new deal. But I would not be surprised if before Sunday, if he does not, because the Jets defense looked atrocious so many ways on that Monday Night Football game. Their offense, it didn't look great, but it looked fine. It looked like an offense that just needed to gel a little bit more. It looked like an offense that was playing with a quarterback who hadn't played football in, a year and a half at this point, going on 2 because of injury and things of that nature. But you know what? This is what we would call a classic get right game. And folks, with the brand new Emerald Lock of the Week, which will be going on my favorite green team of the week, give me the New York Jets at -3.5 points. Because you know what, folks? There's a lot of teams in the NFL that are green. You don't think about it, but there are a lot of green teams. So with the Emerald Lock of the Week, give me the Jets. Let's be honest. I know it's on the road. I don't care. The Titans are a quintessential bad team. Will Levis is a gunslinger to the point of detriment quarterback where, he's going to give you some of those splash plays where you're like, holy F, I've never seen anything like that. But he has no just ability to actually process to not make the worst decision ever, as shown in that Bears game where he literally lost them the game. The Bears offense didn't score an offensive touchdown. The Bears offense didn't accumulate more than 150 yards as a team. And the Titans still lost that game. The Jets are going to come in here. They're mad. They're angry. They're going to make this Titans team look like another JV team. So with the Emerald Lock of the Week, the first one ever, give me the New York Jets at -3.5 points. And I would take them at -6 points.
Next game features a pair of 0-1 teams. We have the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is favored by 9 with a 45.5 point over-under, and 98% of the differential is in favor of Baltimore. And you tell me why Baltimore is going to win this game, Chad.
Mad. Just so furious. That's why this Baltimore team is going to win this game. It's called rage, folks.
Oh, the rage.
I don't know if you've ever experienced getting kicked in your proverbial private parts in the way by not only the team you were playing, but also the people in zebra stripes. Because
I'm a Wisconsin sports fan, and we call it the nut kick continuum around here. So, yeah, I know exactly what that feels like.
The Baltimore Ravens were called for 5 illegal formation penalties. The rest of the NFL through the entire week 1 was called for 15 of them, which means
I think it was 17. I think there's 22 total.
Oh, sorry. There might have been a couple on Monday night that I didn't see when the stat was counted, but whatever. That means that the Baltimore game counted for basically 25% of them, and none of them were called on Kansas City, even though there was a lot of illegal formations on Kansas City as well. And it's exactly. If you watch the tape, Kansas City got a little bit of a leeway that Baltimore didn't. Baltimore's at home now. Baltimore's mad. Baltimore's playing Las Vegas, which is a very, very bad team. Gardner Minshew is going to get hurt. Not not like physically, but emotionally. And I'm not putting any locks on this game because it's -10. I do think Baltimore wins this game by a lot more than that, but I'm saving the Raptor lock of the week for a different game because I am, if not anything, stubborn as fuck. So I, though, am still riding with Baltimore in this game. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they're going to eat. And Roquan Smith already has an interception this year, is going to keep fulfilling my promise of him winning defensive MVP of the year. And he might have a pick six this week. I don't know. He's going to keep doing amazing things.
The whole time you were talking, all I could hear was you talking like a caveman and going, Ravens mad.
Ravens mad.
Raiders bad.
I mean, that's basically what I said. So,
yeah, I got Baltimore in this game too, but I do want to point out Minshew, even though they lost 22-10 and it didn't feel like the Raiders were in it, even though it wasn't that high scoring of a game, it felt like the Chargers were in control of this game all the way. Minshew didn't have that bad of a game. He went 25 for 33 with 257 yards passing and a touchdown. But the problem is he couldn't find somebody that would really do anything for him. His highest, Jacoby Myers had the most yards on three receptions with 61 yards, and Devontae Adams went 5 for 59. You gotta do better than that. Minshew did a good job. They didn't really get the running game going, so that was kind of an issue as well. Max Crosby is still a beast. Right away on the first drive, already getting a sack. But yeah, Baltimore, they're mad, and they have so much talent. Isaiah Likely, I don't know why nobody in like either of our leagues drafted him, and I definitely picked him up in one league. I tried to get him in both, but couldn't get him. But so yeah, now I have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in one of my leagues. It's like, so somebody asked me for a trade because I don't feel like I can keep both of them, but I don't know who to play. And if I have both of them, then you guys can't have one, and that kind of makes me happy too. So I can't play against them. But yeah, I got Baltimore because yeah, they're gonna smash Las Vegas. They're at home. This is exactly like the last game we talked about with the Jets, and you talked about how that's the definition of a get right game. This is also a definition of a get right game. Las Vegas will win a few games this year, but they're not winning this week. You don't think they're gonna win at all?
I told you, I that's one of my teams. I have multiple teams finishing without wins this year.
They gotta play Denver twice though.
That's how bad I think Las Vegas is.
Okay, well, let's move on to the final noon game, which two 1-0 teams both picked both these teams to lose last week, and they didn't. We have the 1-0 Seattle Seahawks traveling to the 1-0 New England Patriots. Seahawks are favored by 3.5, and if when I went down on Sunday, I feel like they would be favored by a lot more. But I like that they're only favored by 3.5 because New England's defense like showed up. 37.5 point over under, but Seattle does have the fan differential at 81%. How are you feeling about this game? I know you probably got like mixed emotions, and I know you want to go with the Patriots. But I know that you're also like, oh, that was 1 week though.
Yeah. I mean, you basically boiled everything down that I'm feeling with that one sentence right there. Yes. I texted with you over this. I texted with our buddy Brett. Shout out to the Brainbuster boys, who they don't have any show as much anymore, but still Brett. I was texting with him.
Still our buddy.
Yeah, still our buddies, Brett and Bo. Love you guys. I texted with him during the game that I've never been more shocked by a Patriots victory. I expected the Patriots to hold the game close for like 3 quarters. I said it last week on the show. That's what they do. They always hold the game close for 3 quarters. That's how we play the game. But then the dam didn't break. The dam it didn't break. They just won. It's like they just kept running the ball with Stevenson, and Jacoby Brissett just kept making little dump off passes or running for 3-4 yards. And we just played smart football, and the Bengals just couldn't do anything. and it was great. It was not fun to watch for anyone who wasn't a Patriots fan, but by God, as a Patriots fan, it was fun as hell. So you know what, folks? With another brand new lock of the week, this is another new thing. We're going to call this the Heart Lock of the Week. Give me the New England Patriots plus 3.5. And also, give me the Patriots to win this game outright. Want to know why, Diesel? Because Seattle didn't look good at all in their victory against the Denver Broncos, who Diesel and I both were very high on last week, and we'll probably talk about them soon and talk about our foibles on that. But the Seattle Seahawks gave up 2 safeties. They gave up multiple turnovers. You know what team isn't going to give you the game if you give up multiple safeties and multiple turnovers? Apparently, the New England Patriots. And especially because, hey guys, it's not in Seattle this week. We're in Foxborough. Seattle is not a good road team. They are traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast for a noon game. It is not easy to do that. It is 9 a.m. for them. Actually, it's 9 a.m. for them.
10 a.m.
9 a.m. for them, and they have to kick off and play that. It's just a bad bag of snakes for the Seattle Seahawks. So with the first ever heart lock of the week, give me the New England Patriots, even though my brain is saying, you are a fucking dumbass.
I mean, you bring up a lot of good points about the Seahawks not playing very well. Then they were playing Denver. I don't know why we were both really high on them last week. That won't happen again. I forgot last year that I kept on thinking Denver was going to win, and they always did this to me last year too. So I'm just going to leave Denver alone. Yeah, they won 26-20. The Seahawks did. And like you said, they gave up 2 safeties. Yeah, Geno didn't play great. Only had 171 yards, 1 touchdown. Kenneth Walker played good, but then he got hurt. So he's probably not going to play this week. He'll play. But Tyler Lockett had 77 yards, but the next receiver was Charbonnet for 29 yards. So, yeah, the New England defense isn't any joke, and Mayo being a defensive coach, and I also like that Mayo is as young as he is because I feel like he bonds with these guys, and I don't know how many were playing in his playing days, if any of them were his former teammates or not, but yeah, I think he's a good voice to have in that locker room, and I think there's a big difference between him and Antonio Pierce, where the players played for him last year as interim head coach and they hired him because of that. I think with Mayo knowing that he was the guy, internally they told him that when Belichick leaves, you're the guy. I think people on the team kind of already accepted that, so they didn't have to let's play for him to win him this job. It's let's show them why the front office believed in him so much. I think it's a totally different mindset. And like I said, their defense isn't any joke. You're really close to talking me into taking the Patriots, but I can't do it just because of the fact we've 100% have all the same games up to this point.
We do.
So that's one point that I can't do it. Another reason is I'm worried that last week's game was just a fluke, and I don't want to get got. So I'm going to go with Seattle in this game. But you bring up some really good points, and it actually makes me more confident in New England could actually steal this game, and it wouldn't feel that shocking, at least as shocking as last week. So, but I do got Seattle in this game.
Afternoon delight.
Finally, we're to the late afternoon slate of games on Sunday at 3:05. The only 3:05 start time this week. We have the 0-1 Los Angeles Rams traveling to the 0-1 Arizona Cardinals. You may have to help me out on this one because I might have messed up the favorite. No, it is Arizona. Okay, yeah, okay.
I know, it's shocking. Yeah, when I
wrote
wrote it down myself, and I wrote it down this morning as well. At time of recording on a Wednesday, and on the September 11th, the Rams were favored by a point.
with all the mistakes that I've been making, yeah, I did this early afternoon. I did the spreadsheet, and they were favored by 1.5 early afternoon. So that's crazy. Over under is 49, and the reason I thought I messed up because before we started talking about this game, I realized that I thought I had the fan differential under Arizona, but it's not. I went back and looked. It is 81% the Rams. So that's why I thought maybe I messed up the who was the favorite. That is crazy because I mean Arizona, I mean they started out really good. They played good in the first half, but the second half they didn't do very good. I mean Kyler was mediocre. I mean 162 yards passing with a touchdown and 57 yards rushing. But I mean nothing really else sticks up. Maybe I mean James Conner, like I thought he did good until I saw that he rushed 16 times for only 50 yards with a touchdown. That's not that great. It's only 3.1 yards a carry. So like nothing on offense really stands out. I don't know why Kyler wasn't throwing it to Marvin Harrison Jr., especially in that one play when he was just nobody was there, wide open, easy touchdown.
Minute 4 left in the game. No one within 15 yards of Marvin Harrison Jr. would have been a walk-in touchdown and put the Cardinals up. Yep. Take the lead.
Extra point, you get the lead. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Arizona is favored in this game because the Rams went into Detroit, almost beat Detroit, and they played well. I would bring up their stats, but for some reason, that game, every time I try to click into it, I get error messages. So I don't have the exact stats for the Rams, but I do know that Cooper Kupp did amazing.
That he did.
They ran the ball really well. Stafford did good. He didn't do great, but I mean, that Detroit Devil is just on his back, like I told you last week. But there is no chance in hell I am picking Arizona in this game. I mean, yeah, they don't have Puka Nacua, but like I said, they have Cooper Kupp, who he's back.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
He's definitely back. He is healthy, and you know what? A healthy Cooper Kupp is better than Puka Nacua. I'm just saying, and that's actually saying something because I hold Puka Nacua in high regard, especially for only being a second-year player. So, yeah, I like the Rams in this game. I think that I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Gannon as their head coach. I think that they still have a lot of growing to do. Kyler missed most of last season last year. He needs to get together with Marvin Harrison Jr. more. He needs, I don't know, they need to do something because they definitely could be a sleeper team in the NFC. I think they're gonna have some bumps and bruises at the beginning of the season, and I could definitely see them figuring it out during the season, and maybe be like a team like the Saints. And at the end of the year, we're talking about them grabbing that final wild card spot. I got the Rams.
Yeah, when I looked these lines up, I made sure because last week when I wrote down the lines, I wrote them down very early. I felt like I wrote them down right when they opened. And I felt like they'd changed a lot when we talked about it on Wednesday. So this week, I went, you know what? I'll just wait. I'll write down the lines Wednesday morning. And when I opened up my apps and when I opened it up, Arizona was favored by -1. I reloaded the app 4 straight times to make sure that there wasn't an error message because, folks, I'm very high on Arizona this year. I've said it multiple times. I picked them last week to beat Buffalo, and they should have beat Buffalo last week. They could have beat Buffalo last week without a question. Like the pieces were there, and they just couldn't put the puzzle together. But it was there, and it was on the table, and they just had to do the last couple things, and they just couldn't. So don't get me wrong. I'm high on Arizona. But even though the Rams are missing now their entire offensive line and Puka Nacua, they still have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Williams and Sean mother effing McVay. I don't understand where this, my only guess is that the smart money has not come in yet, because I know it's my favorite stat is that Diesel brought it up earlier. When a team plays in overtime, they play the next week, they usually lose. I'm sorry. This is the Rams versus Arizona. I got the Rams. I'm very high on the Rams this year. I am a little scared because they did play an overtime game last week, but I think they win this game. I'm comfortable eating or taking the points. But yeah, I don't understand where the money line is coming from on this, because the Rams dominate Arizona. It's not even like that. Like when the Rams play San Francisco, I always understand why that the Rams might be favored, because McVay always beats the Shanahanigans. Like McVayisms beat Shanahanigans. Like that's just what it is. I don't know why. It's just how it goes. So it doesn't matter what the team records are. When the Rams are favored over San Fran, I get it. But in this game, it's a brand new coaching staff against Sean mother effing McVay. I don't get it. I'm very confused.
The next person who says Shanahanigans is going to get pistol whipped.
Hey, Farvo, what's the name of that restaurant? Well, that shit on the walls and the great cheese sticks.
You Shenanigans?
Oh,
You said it. Yeah. I got the Rams in that game too. Moving on. 3:25 Sunday. We have the 0-1 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the 1-0 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 6 with a 47.5 point over-under, and the fan differential 92% Chiefs. Wow. Your favorite team played the Bengals last week. So what do you think about this game?
What I think about this game is the Chiefs don't start playing until October. Or I'm sorry, the Bengals don't start playing until October.
What do you mean the Chiefs started playing?
No, I'm sorry. That I meant to say the Bengals don't start playing till October. So if you're not picking the Chiefs in this game, you're not paying attention. I legitimately, once again, I said it during when we talked about the Patriots, and I was baffled, blown away, mind boggled by the game. I could not, like, I only had the game on my phone, like, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to put Red Zone on the big TV, and I'm just going to watch the Patriots game on my phone, because I had no hope for this game at all. Like, I just was like, the Bengals are the Bengals. They got Joe Burrow back. They got Jamar Chase is going to play. But apparently they just don't show up till October. They don't care about these first 4 games. Their preseason is September. So they're going to probably lose this game. It's going to probably be embarrassing. And even though Joe Burrow like owns Kansas City, he doesn't own them in September. And it might be a bad game. Like, we might be talking about Kansas or Cincinnati being like, oh God, they're 0-2. And can they recover from these 2 terrible losses? Because yeah, I got Kansas City in this game, and I don't think it'll be pretty. I think Kansas City houses the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think that Kansas City is better than they were last year. I think all the negative talk that we were talking in our leading up to the season, and even last week, even though we both picked them to lose last week, they played so well on both sides of the ball. Baltimore played well too, but Kansas City was obviously the better team last week. Patrick Mahomes went 20 for 28 with 291 yards, the touchdown, and the weirdest Patrick Mahomes interception you'll ever see. He just threw it right to Roquan Smith, but wasn't complaining at the moment. Pacheco had 45 yards on the ground, but Rashid Rice had 103 yards receiving. Worthy had 47 yards receiving, plus 21 yards on the ground with the receiving and a rushing touchdown, which that kid is going to be very exciting to watch. They might have got themselves another Tyreek Hill.
It's scary. I know it's only one game, but the Tyreek Hill vibes coming off of Worthy were I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit.
Yeah, this team is very, very scary. Like a three-peat is actually like a real thing. Like it could happen. Like a lot of times are like you get to like the third year, like because we've never seen it like in the Super Bowl era. We've never seen it in our lifetimes. We've seen a couple times people went back to back, and you get to that third year, and it just always seems like they're not as good as they were. They're like even the Patriots did it, and they couldn't get over the hump.
Or you just take everyone's best shot. Like everyone is so like locked in on beating you but oh man, this Kansas City team could be scary.
No, it's only been 1 week, but oh man, Kansas City looked really good. But they also have the refs on their side, like you said.
They do.
They didn't get any of the illegal formation calls.
They get to start a half second before every other defensive player does.
Tackle, every pass play is always jumping, and he was doing that last year too, and they never call him. Like he's the most obvious one in the league. Like every single time, it's gonna be a pass because he jumps off sides, and it's very frustrating. And plus, also when defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo called that
timeout for the team when he's not allowed to. Yeah,
right. It's like that is an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That should have been 15 yards, and they didn't call it. They're just like, "Well, we'll give you your timeout." It's
like sorry, Spags. Yeah, we got it. It's fine.
And they're trying to say Andy Reid called the timeout. It's like where I didn't see any footage of Andy Reid calling timeout. I only saw Steve Spagnuolo running down the sideline, screaming timeout, timeout. But yeah, the Chiefs, like Cincinnati doesn't show up at the beginning of the season. It's not good though because Baltimore is really good. They won't have a chance at this division if they don't show up. They needed to win last week because this is a loss, and starting 0-2 in the AFC is not good. And you don't even know if you're going to have a healthy Joe Burrow all year because we've only seen that like 50% of the time. So you need to win. I want to be
Joe Burrow's going to miss some time. Like Joe Burrow's going to miss a game or two. You need to win the games you're supposed to win. And this game against Kansas City in Kansas City, with Kansas City coming off of a long rest, they played last Thursday. Like they had extra time. Like they're going to be rested, recovered, and they're at home. And probably Taylor Swift will be there. You're fucked, Cincinnati. I'm sorry.
I really want to be excited for this game because of the rivalry between Kansas City and Cincinnati, but we're not in January, and like it is September. I wish they would have planned this game for like November, something like that. I got Kansas City in this game, but fun fact, did you know Kansas City plays on every day of the week this year except for Tuesday?
I did. I saw that stat before the season started. When I saw that before this whole contract talk of Kelsey and Taylor Swift, that the big conspiracy was that he was going to propose on Christmas because they play Christmas Day in Buffalo and Taylor Swift's concert tour is right there in Canada, not more than a jump set jet right across from Buffalo.
See, I could see Kansas City losing a couple games because of this messed up schedule, having like play games so close to each other and then have a long layoff. And like it messes up your rhythm. But I mean, right now, I think having a Thursday night game at the beginning of the year and then having this long rest is a benefit. But once we get towards the holidays, I think that
they have to play some weird, like close games too. Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City could lose some of those games that they probably wouldn't lose if they had a full week to prepare for them. So,
and that's why the Chargers win the division. Yeah.
I don't know when they play the Chargers, but if they happen to play the Chargers like twice in that like span, that'd be good for the Chargers. I'm not gonna lie. No, moving on. Our last game in the afternoon slate We have the 1-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, who didn't score a touchdown and still won. Facing the 0-1 Denver Broncos. Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5 with a 36.5 point over under. That's still not low enough. And 85% of the fan differential is going towards Pittsburgh. I'm also picking Pittsburgh because Bo Nix or Bo Picks or whatever you want to call him didn't have a great game, but it wasn't just him that didn't have a great game. It was the rest of his offense that didn't have a great game. Defense tried. Defense got him 2 safeties. Yeah. But then
Short
Pittsburgh,
fields.
yeah, Pittsburgh, Justin Fields didn't do horrible. There was a lot worse quarterback performances this week than Justin Fields. I would say he's probably right in the middle. We know that Pittsburgh doesn't really have an offense. We've known that all year. And you even mentioned last week that Pittsburgh defense could carry them all year long and they could win some games on the back of their defense. And you know what? I'm at the point where I might be rethinking Mike Tomlin getting that first losing season after what I saw on Sunday.
If JJ Watt is healthy, or if TJ Watt is healthy, they might have a winning record.
They also have Patrick Queen now.
Yeah.
That makes that defense even that much better.
Frustrating.
Yeah. Denver is going to be bad. I'm also predicting now it won't happen during the season, but it will happen after the season's over. They're already going to cut ties with Sean Payton.
Wow.
They've already shown that they have a quick trigger when it comes to stuff like that. And I think that, I don't know, he's the one who wanted Bo Nix, and if Bo Nix doesn't work out, I think you got to let him go. Because the whole thing with Russell Wilson, and then he's the reason Russell Wilson's gone. If I bet you if they had another head coach in there, Russell Wilson wouldn't have been gone. They wouldn't be eating this $85 million dead cap this year. That's ridiculous. They didn't even pay him yet. His extension didn't even hit yet, and they released him. It's and then Russell Wilson sitting on the sideline inactive in his uniform. What the hell is wrong with this guy? I used to think he was cool. What is wrong with Russell Wilson?
So, if you want to say that he would still be with the Denver Broncos if there was another coach there, would they have been any better?
Well, I don't know if he'd be the starter, but I still think he'd be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they'd be any better. And I'm not all out on Bo Nix yet this year.
No,
I won't lie. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. I'm not going to go crazy here because of TJ Watt's health right now. If TJ Watt's in the game, I can't mess with that defense. And I think that Bo Nix is a good, not a great, but a good NFL quarterback. And I think that given a few weeks in the NFL, come Thanksgiving, I think that Bo Nix will be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I think that he will be above the median line of how you think of quarterbacks. Do I think he'll be top 10? Probably not. This week, it might be rough again because Denver's offensive line, garbage, hot trash. And TJ Watt, I don't know what is those Watt people are feeding their children, because you got JJ, you got TJ, and you got Derek. And all three of them are just absolute monsters. And I don't physically understand how, when you know that all you have to do is block this one guy. The Atlanta Falcons were putting everything they could to block this one guy, and he still wrecked the entire game. It's
how many sacks got called back because of penalty? And it wasn't even on him.
No.
A lot of it was holding downfield and stuff like that. He should have had 3 or 4 sacks in this game. I think he only ended up with 1.
He only had 1 sack. He should have had 4.
Yeah, he was in the backfield all day long. He couldn't been blocked. And to answer your question about what these WAP boys are being fed, they're being fed grade A Wisconsin beef. That's what they're being fed.
Farm boys, and
That's
they
right.
are monsters. And I just, as long as he is healthy and they're playing a subpar competition, I will pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. This was a game that I always picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to win against Denver because, like, Mike Tomlin's not going to go defeated. I picked him to lose last week, but like they were going to win this game no matter what. So yeah, give me Pittsburgh.
I am still upset that the Packers passed on TJ Watt. I don't know how you could. I don't know how anybody. He should have been the number 1 overall pick. I don't
He
remember
played
who was
for
the number
fucking Wisconsin.
I don't know who was the number overall pick in that draft. I can't remember exactly because it's been like 5 years. But, yeah, like he should have been the number 1 overall pick. He is. At least he was the best defensive player in that draft. And I still can't believe with like the Packers had like the 28th pick too. And they passed on him. They traded away only for the Steelers to take him. Mind-boggling. Imagine him on the Packers defense with Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith. Yeah. Nuts.
We're going to play with Clay Matthews, wouldn't he have?
I'm not sure. I can't remember the exact year he was drafted.
I feel like he would have. I feel like you would have gotten to pair like the tail end of Clay Matthews with TJ Watt.
I think you would just missed them because I'm pretty sure Clay Matthews last year was 2017 for the Packers. I think he played 2018 for the Rams. And he tried to get back with the Packers, but they're like, no, you're going to tornado yourself and you're going to hurt yourself again because you just spin too hard. That was his problem. He just spin way too fast. And yeah, tornado himself into the ground and hurt himself. But he is a Packers Hall of Famer and also the Packers all-time sack leader. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to Sunday Night Football. We have the 1-0 Chicago Bears taking on the 1-0 Houston Texans. Both these teams could easily be 0-1. Houston is favored by 6.5 with a 45.5 over-under, and the fan differential has Houston at 92%. This game is interesting because 2 years ago, these were the 1 and 2 overall picks, the 2 worst teams in the league, and both of them have improved since then. One of them, Houston made the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah, they won their division.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. Yep, that they have. See, they were at the end of the show, okay? It's like I'm thinking about 2024 now, okay? 2023 is in the past. I can't remember that stuff. Yeah. I have Houston because Chicago doesn't have an offense, even though they have DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet. I don't believe in Caleb Williams. I've already seen enough to know that he can throw the ball. And I mean, let's get honest. He looks like a Bears quarterback. I don't know how else to put it. Like, he fits in that uniform. When he goes out and plays, he looks like a Bears quarterback. And I can't look at number 18 and not think of Rex Grossman. No, Kyle Orton. Rex Grossman is number 8. I can't, I see number 18 and I see that game where they beat the Packers like 35-7 and Kyle Orton running off the field with the big smile on his face. Like, I always liked Kyle Orton, but that was because he played for Purdue and he was good for Purdue. But I got Houston this game because they're clearly better. There's no way that Houston's just going to give Chicago the win. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be a blowout and Chicago only score like 3-6 points. I wouldn't be surprised to see them not get a touchdown on the board again because this time their defense can't score for them. Houston is just better. Joe Mixon, yeah. A lot of people were like, Joe Mixon, he's washed. That's why Cincinnati traded him. It's like, no, he's not washed. Cincinnati just wasn't using him correctly. So Houston knows what they're doing. CJ Stroud looked good. Stephon Diggs got a touchdown. Houston all the way in this game. I don't see Chicago even making it close. I'm going to watch this game and probably go to bed at halftime because it's going to be like 28-3. I shouldn't say that because you know what happens when it's 28-3. Patriots come back.
I got you used 28-3. That was a random number to pick, but I like it.
That's just the number that flew out of my mouth.
Yes. With the Sunday Night Football bonus lock of the week, give me the Houston Texans minus whatever. The Bears could score an offensive touchdown this last week against a subpar Tennessee team. Don't get me wrong, they might have a decent defense, but they're still a subpar team altogether. Houston, on the other hand, not subpar. One of the creams of the crops right now in the NFL, where they are a Super Bowl contending team. Sorry, folks, I'm done with the cat because he knocked over my beer, and I can't clean it up right now because I don't have any paper towels down here, and I want to finish the show, and I don't want to do another cut. So I just have to look at this pile of beer on the floor, so I'm mad at him. That's neither here nor there. But yes, Houston, minus 1,000 points. Give me them all day. CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, that defense. Like, once again, the Chicago Bears, I love mostly everything they did in this offseason. But they didn't address their offensive line, and it showed against the Tennessee Titans, where Caleb Williams couldn't do anything because he had to go outside the pocket immediately every time he dropped back because he has no protection up front. They don't hand the ball off. Like, they have no offense. Matt Eberflus should be fired. He should have been fired last year, and I said that last year. I never believed in him. I don't like him. I like Justin Fields. So you should have stuck with him. Now that you have Caleb Williams, now you're going to have to get another head coach. So what the hell are you doing, Bears? Give me the Houston Texans minus however many points that they are. Sunday Night Football, bonus lock of the week.
And finally, we have Monday Night Football. It's the Battle of the Birds. We have the 0-1 Atlanta Falcons traveling to the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6.5 with a 47 over-under. 97% of the fan differential is on Philadelphia. And I don't think you're too surprised by that. I know what you're picking because you kind of teased it earlier. And there's still one of your color picks to go. So I already know where you're going with this one. So I'm just going to tell you I'm going the opposite of you. I'm going with Philadelphia because of the fact they looked pretty good against the Packers. Saquon Barkley had himself a game. Hurts didn't look great, but AJ Brown did. That defense is so stacked. I'm still not a believer in Vic Fangio, but man, they looked good with all like the dysfunction that people were saying they're having in the offseason. Didn't show very much over the course of that game. Long season to go. But with Philadelphia being at home, they also haven't played since Friday. So even though they did travel and went to South America, I think they make up for that by having those 2 extra days off. So I don't think the travel is going to affect them very much. I'm more worried about the Falcons and the fact that Kirk Cousins looked awful. Like, I did not see that coming. It was nice to see Kyle Pitts score a touchdown. Bijan didn't get the ball enough. I don't know what's going on. My one question is, are we going to see Michael Penix Jr. this year? And if so, why did you spend $160 million on Kirk Cousins? Yeah, I understand why, like, before you even make your argument, why you're going with who you're going with. But last week really put a sour taste in my mouth. And I know you can't go. It's so hard being so early in the season. You only have the one game to go off of. There's not a big sample size. But if I'm going off the one game, Philadelphia looked better to me than Atlanta. So I got Philadelphia taking the edge. And I got them winning this game. So your turn.
Yes, of course, with the second ever Raptor lock of the week. Give me the Atlanta Falcons plus 6.5. And also give me them the money line to win the actual game.
And over under though, 47.
give me the under on the 47 because
it is outdoors.
it is outdoors. And also, folks, they might have lost the game. And you might say, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have any offense. But folks, they gave up 6 field goals. They weren't short field goals. Boswell was draining 50-yard field goals. All right. The Atlanta defense did its effing job left and right. There is studs everywhere on this defense. They didn't give up yards. They didn't give up points. They did everything they could to win this game. Did I predict that this offense was going to need this much time to gel? No, not at all. I thought they'd get it right away. I think this last week was a good hiccup. I think that Kirk Cousins isn't quite as far along as we all thought in his recovery. He did not take a single snap from center, under center, the entire game, which is wild, which says that there's probably still not as much mobility in his ankle as should be. So to answer your other question, does Penix play this year? Maybe. Because, I mean, if Kirk's ankle ain't great, then this team, I still stand by the fact, with Raheem Morris as the coach and all these pieces that they have, are Super Bowl contenders. I know they lost this last week, folks, but you know what? Once again, I'm nothing if not stupid and stubborn. And I am sticking to my guns on the Atlanta Falcons being a Super Bowl team this year. So I think that Kirk Cousins will be healthy enough to take them to the promised land in the end. But if maybe he has to take a few weeks off in the middle of the season to rest up that Achilles to really get it to where it needs to be for a deep playoff run, then yeah, maybe Penix does get a few starts here, say in the middle of the season. But this week against Philly, against a team that I don't think is that great and should have lost to the Green Bay Packers. Legitimately, I do think they should have lost that game. Saquon is not going to do that again. I think he's a good running back, but he's not great. I think this Atlanta defense can keep them in check, and I think they win this game and go to 1-1, and everyone has this weird conundrum where we're like, oh shit, now Philly and Atlanta are both 1-1. They both beat a good team and lost to a good team. How do we rank them in all of this NFL hijinks for these first 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think you're right about Packers probably should have beat Philadelphia. It was a weird ending. Take the injury out of it. It felt like the Packers kind of won that game, even though the score didn't tell that. And they did miss a field goal and a 2-point conversion. They lost by 5. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. AJ Brown, though, that guy hasn't slowed down on a step. I know he's only 5 years in the league, but it
feels like he's been here for a lot longer.
He hasn't, though. He's not there yet, but he's putting together a Hall of Fame resume. Few more years at putting up the numbers he's put up the last 3 years, he'll be in the Hall of Fame for sure. Yeah, I do like Atlanta's defense, and I do agree with you that they kept him in that game, and if Atlanta's offense could have got anything going, they would have won that game easily. And another credit, and we're not talking about Pittsburgh, but I want to also bring out Boswell, and I mentioned this when we're watching the games, and I mentioned this a few times last year on the show. Boswell is probably the most underrated kicker in the league. No one ever gives him credit. He has a boot. He's very accurate. He's won a lot of games for the Steelers, and there's a reason why last year they won 9 games, and it was a couple of them were on his foot. So, yeah, Boswell's good, but that's here nor there. I got Philadelphia just because I Atlanta just didn't look right to me, and they might figure it out. And maybe when Philadelphia has their footing under them, maybe they won't be as good. Who knows? Um, I honestly would prefer to see Atlanta win because I'm not a big Eagles fan. The only green team I really like is the Packers. I root for the Jets. I rooted for the Jets before Aaron Rodgers got there too, but I actually kind of him less that he's there, to be honest with you. I got the Eagles. I'm just going on a tangent here, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Fair.
So yeah. That's all the games we got this week. So any final thoughts? Any bold predictions? Like someone's gonna score 5 touchdowns like Eric Decker back in the day for the Broncos?
I'm so just shell shocked after last week of getting my ass handed to me. I lost in all 4 of my fantasy leagues. I got all 5 of my head-to-head matchups with you wrong. I couldn't have hit water if I fell out of a boat last week. So nope, I have no final thoughts. I am just hoping for a better week this week.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have 2 different games this week, so I mean, you can chip away. You can start chipping away. Like I said, you got 17 weeks to go. So, I mean, there's still a long season, and I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I start believing in teams I shouldn't believe in, just like you do. And, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see at the end of the year if we're neck and neck because it's just the way it goes. We can't figure this thing out. We never have been able to. I mean, we're over 60%, but that's still a D.
I was not for the first week, so
we won't go there. We won't talk about your 30% average.
It was rough.
But yeah, I don't really have any like super bold predictions for this week. Besides the fact that I'm gonna be watching Red Zone again because I had a lot of fun doing that, and I really miss Scott Hansen. Not gonna lie,
He's the best.
He really is, and he makes me laugh. Just random things that he says. He says whatever comes to mind because he doesn't have time to think. He just has to say it. And I like that he called out Tom Brady.
Fire him?
Yeah. I like that he called out Tom Brady. And Tom Brady does need to fire up more during the games, but it was his first week too.
It's first time.
No,
everyone needs to back off Tom Brady. Give him a little time.
I'm only giving that's the only criticism I'm giving him is because Scott Hansen did too. There were times where it's like, come on, man, get excited. But I will say though, like half the time I did think that he was Greg Olson because their voices are very similar.
Yeah, they are very similar.
But other than that, I got nothing really. I'm excited for week 2. I want some upsets. I won't be mad if I get some games wrong as long as they're good. Like that's all I care about. I want to be sitting in front of my TV and just be like, I can't believe the finish of that game. I can't believe the finish of that game. We're in Bewitching Hour. Like, yeah, I'm excited. Football season's here. Got something to do on Thursday nights again. Sunday, Monday nights. Like, yeah, I don't have time to watch anything else anymore because it's football season.
It's the best.
But so with that being said, how about you, since you made it this far, give us a like, thumbs up, hit thumbs up, click the bell so you know when we drop our latest episode. Also subscribe, comment, because apparently that will help us out a lot with algorithm stuff.
Drop in the comments who's your upset of the week. Diesel and I are agreeance on basically almost everything this week, so who's your big upset of this week?
And yeah, tell your friends, like let them know if you're enjoying us, which I'm happy you are. Let your friends know because maybe they'll enjoy us as well. And who knows, maybe we're up for collaboration too, talk about football with more people. It's just us. Like, it's not very, I mean, let's get honest. When it's just us battling back and forth, it's not fun beating you every year. So, like, maybe if we added somebody else, maybe I wouldn't win. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Sorry, I had to. But anyways, I've had fun this week. I'm excited for some football. I've been Diesel. Joined, as always, by my good buddy and co-host, permanent co-host, Chad. And it's time for me to say, let's watch some football.
Bye.
This has been a Visionaries Global Media production. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.